Guys, what is going on with Star Wars? I mean, I've said in a past video, I mean, I like the series. I don't love the series, but I'm trying to figure out just what in the hell is going on. So after trying to pay attention to social media, late night talk show hosts, and doing a little research for myself, this is what I could pretty much boil it down to. Now, if you disagree with my opinion, fine. I'm not going to change your mind. I'm not hoping to change anyone's mind. I want people to maybe understand. It's when we're failing. I think it was Jordan Peterson. He said at one point, like when we fail to be open-minded, that's when we fail as a society. That's when we fail to learn, because you're being ignorant to other schools of thought. So let's break this down. A Force Awakens, when that came out, a lot of people, a lot of Star Wars fans are happy. A lot of the hardcore fans were not. I liked the movie when it came out, and then after really thinking about it and going over a lot of what happened in that movie a second time, my opinion on it has changed. I actually don't like the movie as much as I did, mainly because of what the new movies did to the original series. It pretty much bastardized it. So let's fast forward. Rogue One did well, but that's because I had to play by the rules. It was leading directly into Episode 4. So Last Jedi comes out, but not before we get The Last Jedi in this past December. It was announced that we're getting a spin-off movie in which it's a prequel movie based on Han Solo when he was a young man. I'm hearing something going off behind me. It's just something on the stove. It's alright. But anyway, so what's going on? Well, let's start with The Last Jedi. Now, admittedly, I have not seen this movie, but after watching many YouTube videos, and after reading the synopsis of the movie, the plot, the characters, and watching a good amount of content online, it's pretty safe to say the reason why people don't like this movie is because it kind of gave a giant middle finger to the entire fan base, just about. And what I mean by that is that everything that the original 6 movies, and yes, I meant even episodes 1 through 3, everything that those, built up, this movie, pretty much just gave the fans the middle finger and said, no, ours are better. And I think that's the worst thing you can do. I don't even think I don't even think episodes 1 through 3 were trying to establish that they were better by basically, trying to do away or trying to make 4 through 6 look bad by taking jabs at them in some subtle way. I mean, it'd be difficult to do to reference something that's going to happen in the future. But there are clever ways to do it. Hi. Anyway. So, it comes out, it was a very polarizing movie, and I'm not going to list spoilers, but I'm going to say this. This is not the first movie in which a legacy character dies, and this is not the first movie in which there was some idea to be a big payoff, but then it immediately just decided to abandon it for some reason. It was a very polarizing and awkward movie. It was trying so hard. It was trying so hard to be its own thing and push its own agenda. And yes, The Last Jedi did try to push its own agenda. And for those of you who think I don't know what I'm talking about, they dedicated a full half an hour plus to a side mission that was ultimately pointless. And for the people in the comments, it was necessary, they needed the Code Master. No, it was completely unnecessary. They easily could have circumvented everything that happened on there, except they had to push the animal cruelty is cruel. It's a common message that everyone understands. And I think if we're into Star Wars at this point, it's pretty safe to assume that we have come to like everything that is Star Wars, from the creatures to the many different aliens. So to me, that felt really weird. Then not to mention, there's a lot of throwaway nonsense in this movie. Say what you will, I think Rose Tico is a massive flop of a character. I'm sure she's a wonderful, bubbly human being in real life. I've seen her in pictures with Mark Hamill and other cast members. She looks absolutely adorable. But her character in this movie was purely designed to literally just forcibly move the moral compass along. And that's what it was. And we're talking about engaging in a side mission knowing full and well that the rebellion, knowing full well that the rebellion is at risk, the First Order is on them, and the situation is very dire. So let's dedicate 30, 45 minutes into this anti-animal cruelty message. Now, let's not get into that. Let's also talk about Holdo, who, in my opinion, was bar none probably the most frustrating character in this movie, due to the simple fact is that she apparently put the entire rebel fleet in her own hands and absolutely refused to work with anyone else because she had a special secret plan. And she just kind of waited until the very end. So, spoiler alert, the special secret plan used the ship's hyperspace to crash into Snoke's dreadnought and essentially wipe out, like, I'd say a good portion of the fleet. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Again, a middle finger to the original movies, because they have mentioned several times the dangers of hyperspeed. It's not just going very, very fast. They mention it in several details, including that it's not just going very fast because you can crash into something. Because like even one stagnant like fragment of nothing or dust or sand in space can be enough to tear the ship in half. But I guess the argument can be made that it was essentially a suicide mission, so who cares? Well, I do care, because literally we had Poe Dameron pretty much commit mutiny, all because this new general, or I forget what her title was, all because she didn't want to share the plan. And there was no reason for her to keep it to herself. It was this giant trust me. It was a blind trust message. And in a situation where everything is on the line, it makes no sense to be secretive. Now, other people have argued that this is a big SJW tactic in which Kathleen Turner, who is a very big SJW activist, this was her way of saying we need to trust women in authority. I have no problem trusting women in authority. I've worked many jobs where women were the manager or the owner, in fact. I have no problem with that. What I have a problem is blindly following a female when the situation is extremely dire, and I have information that needs to be... I need to know certain information. There's information I need to be apparent to. This was a giant trust me because I'm in charge type thing, and there was no reason to be trustful. Like if they would have said there was like a spy on the ship or something, I would have understood that, but that wasn't what it was. And then you get a forced romance between Finn and Rose, and Finn Finn the majority of this time could care less. He's just like, I want to help out the cause, and he's willing to sacrifice himself, in which Rose then hits him out of the way of him sacrificing himself and destroying the First Order troops as they were closing in on the base. Pretty much sacrificing herself, and she's like, we need to beat them with love, and then she kisses him and then dies. It is extremely awkward. Very awkward. And then, I don't want to spoil what happens at the end, just... we're in a last-ditch situation they have established in this movie that it is very serious, it's very dire. The First Order is bigger than it has been, somehow, since the 7th movie. And we're in a situation where drastic measures need to be taken. This is not the time to be withholding information, to be going on pointless side missions, to now be introducing people who now apparently have force powers in the mix and terrible CGI, forced romantic subplots, and then a conclusion that, in my opinion, they screwed the pooch on. In my opinion, they did Luke the worst. This was an insult to Luke Skywalker, and even Mark Hamill said it before Disney was telling him to shut his mouth after the movie came out. So then let's get to Solo. What's the problem with Solo? Well, no one cared. Pretty simply put, nobody cared. Nobody cared because nobody can put a face with Solo. It was I would assume a know-nothing actor. I don't remember him from anything, and everyone I've talked to said they don't remember him from a whole lot. He might have been in a movie they might have been lucky enough to see him in, but there's no star power there. There was nothing on him that sold him to see the movie. And on top of that, the movie came out 5 months after Episode 8. Just 5 months. That was what hurt it. It was the BS propaganda in the 8th movie, on top of the fact that people saw that Disney stink of easy cash grab, and they wanted to get as far away from it as possible. And to kind of give a better point to this, let me just add this. I was just watching a video in which somebody was talking about, like, expectations. And he brought up Iron Man. He said he saw originally when he saw the trailer for Iron Man back in I think it was 2007. He said the movie looked like crap, but Robert Downey Jr. sold him on the character of Tony Stark, and that was why he wanted to go see it, because he was convinced that is Iron Man. Almost everyone I talked to who saw that, their expectations were, it's another Star Wars movie, I'll go see it. I didn't hear one person say they were convinced that this guy playing Han was Han Solo. They had no investment in the character. The only shining light I've heard about this entire movie was Lando, and that's because I know for a fact that Michael B. Jordan is a talented actor. With that being said, abysmal opening weekend. It was only really getting pushed like a few months before the movie actually came out. And tune that with it was like $1.3 billion The Last Jedi did, but the reviews were coming through. And then, of course, there was the online controversy where the actress who played Rose Tika, I forget her name off the top of my head, she apparently deleted her Twitter account because she was getting bullied online. And then, of course, late night hosts were going out and saying, if you don't like this movie, then you're a sexist. And that's like, look, I'm going to nail in the coffin right now on that. No, that's not what it is. She played a dumb character that a lot of people didn't like, and I'm willing to bet a lot of the hate was also coming from women, too. Because she basically made all women seem like mindless martyrs who are willing to just throw themselves at a cause in the middle of a life or death situation. It kind of made women look dumb. Like, her life and the life of everything she fought for was at stake. But let's focus on a relationship that you are shying away from and focus on another subplot, which really isn't going to matter in the long run if you waste time on it. Especially since the First Order is literally destroying planets and conquering galaxies. So that's my take on the whole thing. I believe we're now in an age where actors simply just cannot and will not take responsibility for the fact that, hey, it's not them. It's the writers. It's Kathleen Turner. Kathleen Turner is turning this franchise into something that it is not, and the fans know this. And she might be on her way out, and I think that might be the best thing. She's proving that her views are what's getting in the way of the wants and the desires of the people, and that's a Star Wars movie. We've gotten 4 Star Wars movies in 3 years, which is ridiculous considering that normally it would come out like every couple of years, if not every 3 years. And you've already killed off 2, if not more, legacy characters in kind of ridiculous ways, and it feels very hollow and empty. So, you be the judge of that. I'm saying when you let your personal ideologies get in the way of a movie like this, and you have bad writing, and you have weak characters, the people are going to start noticing, and when Disney is going to also start pumping these movies out in record timing, the diehards are going to start noticing. So honestly, here's what I think they should do. Disney should just pull the plug on Kenobi or the Boba Fett spin-off movies they're planning. They need to hunker down for like the next year or two, and they need to write a solid episode 9. This needs to be their swan song. And I don't know. I think maybe after that they should call it quits, because at this point, to make anything else other than a solid episode 9, they have to. They have to get the fans back. And when your opening weekend is giving you $82-84 million, that's the worst opening with the highest production value. They'll be lucky to break even after advertising. Anyway, that's just my thought on it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm hoping that when we do hear something on episode 9, I really hope it's what everyone wants. Other than that, to all the actors and actresses who want to take to social media and be professional victims, no, people are giving honest critiques about your character, and when we live in the age of instant communication, and you have that accessibility, you're gonna be subject to it. Everyone is, especially with that level of notoriety. And for the people who are running the project, who aren't listening, who are pushing their personal views over what the people want, you are what's hurting the product. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. I have something burning on the stove, so I'll talk to you later.